5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Now go home and get your shine box.
Yeah, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Go Get Your Shine Box. This is Jim. I'm going to let the guys introduce themselves.
Yeah, Joe, Central New Jersey. Sad week this week, but I guess we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, looks like it. This is Paul coming from an alternate universe where right is wrong, up is down, men's are women's, sort of like the Planet of the Apes. You're just leaving me hanging there, huh? There we go.
We were trying to fit that in, and I'm sorry, I was a little late on the button, okay? So it's all my fault. But anyway, we are here, and it is kind of a sad day, as we know, this Tennessee shooting, and we're gonna talk about it a little bit, but I don't think we're gonna cover it like it's been covered all week.
No, there's no need to cover it because Biden's got chocolate chip ice cream in his freezer, so that's
Yeah, that's
what a
no, really, man. I'm not kidding.
He's not kidding. He really has chocolate chip ice cream, yeah. And that's the only why he was there, because they told him they were serving chocolate chip ice cream.
Yeah. Right, yeah. Did
What
you
an
see the other
embarrassment.
clip? Okay, Mr. President, you'll be standing over there on the blue mark. I'll be on the blue mark.
Yeah.
It's so
Like,
pathetic.
oh my God.
Freaking embarrassment.
We have never had a more pathetic president that I can ever remember. It's
Well,
absolutely
I
pathetic.
think what's his name was worse. He was in a coma, I think, and his wife was signing all of his bills and stuff back. What was that, Wilson?
I still don't think. Yeah, I don't think that was worse, though. At least.
So
He slips the one in there.
yeah.
Goal.
Okay, let me back up, because we got a guy that was a mummy, and his wife was signing his stuff for him, and Biden's worse. I mean,
Biden's worse, yes.
I'm trying to think of a way to argue with that. Anyway, a little levity, but jump right into episode 42, Looney, Troons, and Hypocrites. And if you don't know what that is, you will by the end of the show.
Yes. Oh, I guess it's my fault, so I should introduce this. I found out a couple of months ago that an urban slang term for transgenders is troon, which is now my favorite word because it just sounds funny.
I don't like that talk.
That's awful loud.
That's
That's
what she
all right.
said.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know where that came from, and
I didn't either.
whatever.
I didn't need it till he explained it to me the other day.
It just sounds good,
Troon.
Well, I was trying to introduce it to these guys, and I made a funny. Actually, I'm a very funny guy.
You're funny. How are you funny?
Bullshit.
So I saw this article on humanoid robots. All right, AI's coming, robots. We're all gonna die. Trust me on this one. Anyway, the facial and skin quality and eye quality was very appealing, and it struck me this was a woman robot.
Yeah,
And it
fembot.
struck me that they're going to have these robots. You just push a button and it can switch back and forth between male and female. And I thought, okay, well, what are they going to call them? And it's simple. They're going to call them Troonsformers.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun.
I'm still don't know if I'm supposed to laugh or not. I don't know. Okay. I still think
sure why
that
you
you
wouldn't
don't
laugh.
quit your day job,
Well, I mean, we're not going to give you a whole 5 minutes of stand up, but it's a really good take on, the Transformer show, whatever those toys are in those movies.
Yeah. They
You know,
change from a car
yeah.
into a robot or whatever.
Transformers,
Yeah.
Troons formers. Okay.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
So let me tell you.
You started off as a guy, bing, 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 and now you're a woman, you know?
Yeah, in the virtual world, you can do anything, right?
Right, yeah,
you
why
you
not?
can be a warrior, having never held a gun before. The fact of the matter is, you can take inanimate objects and transform them into something else, right? No
Yes, you
problem.
can.
That's what we do all the time. We make bad things, we make them better. That's a
You
transformation.
can take organic
Yeah.
objects and turn them into something else with
Yeah.
psychedelic chemicals from your local pharmaceutical company.
But you know that
the first thing I thought of when you said Troons, I was thinking shrooms. So that's what I thought.
okay, I get what you're saying. But I was going to say, what's that thing where they do with the plants? They graft them, and then you wind up with something else.
Yeah,
Yep.
like the
Exactly.
hybrids or whatever. Or,
Yeah, so far they haven't been able to graft people. You know.
Well, we're not so sure about
I
that.
shouldn't have put that idea out there because now there's going to be people grafting.
We've heard stories coming out of China on some weird.
Oh boy!
There's
that's why they got all those Uyghurs.
There's a thing called man bear pig.
Yeah,
but I think that's from some cartoon or something.
I think that was. I think that guy wasn't that the guy? Wasn't that the living representation of that guy that stole the luggage? That was the nuclear waste management guru.
He had
was a trans bear fairy, whatever. But
he had a very.
He reminded me of that clown that lives in the sewer, right? You know.
That creepy one with the mustache.
Right. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. Anyway. We're going to kind of we're going to transition, if you don't mind, from some of the stuff that was going on. Remember this? Oh, we just want to get married. We just want to get married.
Yeah.
And we're gonna do a little reminder.
And even before that, they just want to love each other.
Yeah, it's just two men or two women in love.
Yeah.
And what I've always said, and what most people with any common sense has said, that marriage is a religious institution. So it's ironic that somebody who claims not to be religious, and in fact, some of them are plain atheists, as they call them, which I don't believe there's such a thing.
Right.
That's just a God denier, but that's neither here nor there. They say we want to get married. Well, you can't get married, you know. That's an institution, right out of the religion. It's a biblical relationship and in the doctrine. But no, we're going to get married because the Supreme Court says we can get married, so we can get married. And I don't give a crap if the Supreme Court says an elephant is a giraffe. Okay, they're not the final say on those things of God, and that's a problem because that's, and we'll talk about this a little bit. That's the differentiation between Christians and atheists. One thinks there's a God and one doesn't, and God controls all, and they think, and that goes into the whole nihilist argument. But anyway,
well, that's why it had to be the Marriage Act or whatever, because they have to mock God.
Yeah, well, they're good at mockery. They are good at mockery.
That's the definition of Luciferian. Is what they do. They mock everything that is good, beautiful, and true.
Let me ask you: do you have anybody else that agrees with you that marriage is sacred and is an institution of religion?
It's funny, Joe, because I was doing a little research and you were doing a little research, and we ended up with this interesting montage. I think that's French for a bunch of clips put together.
That's not Italian.
No, that is not. It would be montaggio. So in this case, we'll check this out, and then you tell me what you think. It's about a minute, but it's worth listening to.
Your religious faith dictates that marriage should be between a man and a woman. Would you elaborate on that?
Well, what I believe is that marriage is between a man and a woman.
Why? What in your religious faith calls you to be against gay marriage?
Well, what I believe in my faith is that a man and a woman, when they get married, are performing something before God, and it's not simply the two persons who are meeting.
I believe that marriage is not just a bond, but a sacred bond between a man and a woman. So I take umbrage at anyone who might suggest that those of us who worry about amending the Constitution are less committed to the sanctity of marriage or to the fundamental bedrock principle that it exists between a man and a woman going back into the mists of history.
We've all voted, not where I voted, and others said, look, marriage is between a man and a woman, and states must respect that. Why do we need a constitutional amendment? Marriage is between a man and a woman.
Well said.
Well, case closed. Good night, guy. We'll see you tomorrow.
It's a great show, guys. Thank you.
I'm trying to peruse my mind for Bible characters, and I'm for Jabroni there. I'm coming up with I don't know, maybe Baphomet. Hillary gets I guess Jezebel, and Joe Biden. I don't know if there's like some dork in the Bible.
I think the jackass. Wasn't there a jackass at the well?
There's I know there are some jackasses in the Bible, so that'd work, you know.
So the whole point being, this is political expedience because you don't know how they really feel. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this is actually how they feel or felt, and they will change because our theme tonight is transitioning. They will change like a chameleon depending on which way the political wind blows. I mean,
they will tell you whatever they need to keep in power. It doesn't matter. They will just completely morph and tell you exactly what you want to hear as long as they can be voted back in and voted in power. Period.
Yeah. And originally, I was talking to Paul about this being the hypocrisy part because it's part of the title. And of course, in all fairness, that was low hanging fruit to Paul because he's done. And I don't want to speak for him, but he's done with the hypocrisy angle, right?
Yeah, I'm done. I don't think anybody cares. They don't care. They do it. I don't think they have any real beliefs.
Right.
They have a will to power.
Yeah, exactly. And my point was, I wasn't looking at it, even though I used the hypocrisy word because it resonates. It's not the hypocrisy that bothers me. It's the deliberate rhetoric of the downhill spiral.
Yeah,
that they're putting us in. And I like to say psychological operation. I like to say that a lot because we are being manipulated on a daily basis. This is part of that, and it twists and turns, and it's disingenuous, and it's ugly, and it's a lie, and then it's the truth, and then it's a lie, and then another lie, and it goes on and on and on, and it's just this disgusting ball of grime and filth. When you talk about it, you want to take a shower, and then all of a sudden we're back to, we just want to get married. So now we have an amendment, this and the Supreme Court that, and back and forth. But all three of these people, if anybody didn't know who they were, Biden, Hillary, and Obama, they're 180 degrees now. If you ask them,
yeah,
unless they were in a room full of Christian donors that had about $1 billion to give.
Well,
then they'll repeat the original,
Yeah, and the Christians would fall for it because they're idiots.
And then they'll deny it 10 minutes later.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's so pathetic.
Which again leads us down this slope, which I like to I'm borrowing this obviously from somebody else, but it's the gay mafia, and we're working up to the real problem here. But the gay mafia, you can have, and I'm just spitballing statistics out there. You could have a room full of 100 people, and you could have one of these clowns talking to them and talking in one particular way, and 2 of those 100 people can be, capos in the gay mafia. The entire tone of the speakers will change because they're petrified.
Yeah,
right.
They're petrified because of the mechanics of culture. Cancel culture is what it is.
And who wields the power? Yeah.
Well, yeah. Right now, they estimate, and this is a high estimation, the so-called trans, I'm using that word colloquially because I don't like the word. You cannot transition. Okay, let me say this again. You can't transition from a man to a woman or vice versa.
Well, so let me get this straight, Jim. What you're saying is you cannot transition.
You cannot.
Cannot. No. Can't happen.
No, but you can pretend.
Okay.
If you're pretending, we'll give you a bunch of free crap.
Wait a minute! Didn't you get that article from the doctors in India that I sent you?
Oh Lord, I'm not. Do you want to hit on that? Let's get up to a couple more points, and then you can hit on that if you want.
It's all degeneracy, but
yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You continue
I
on.
was,
You
I was
were
going
on
to
a
say
roll there.
Let's
with
continue.
this gay mafia stuff. It's part of the cancel culture, and what they want to do is control the language, and that's where that's why we're stuck using these words. I noticed on social media you can't even say trainee because apparently that's that
Right,
verbiage.
tranny. Yeah.
Yeah, that used to be perfectly acceptable with this very, very, very tiny fraction of freaks. But you can't say that you'll get blocked for saying that.
Yeah.
The pronoun thing, the compelled language, these are all issues that are. There's a big difference between censoring somebody and compelling somebody to speak in a certain way.
Yeah.
Even some workplaces are attempting to do that, and I suspect there's going to be a lot of lawsuits because that's one thing you're not going to get away with. But
Well,
they have a stronghold on a lot of things for a very, very small percentage of people.
let me throw out a couple of things. Number one, as far as compelling speech, Black Lives Matter is apparently coming out with a new logo, and Adidas filed an injunction because it looks like theirs, and a couple of days later they withdrew it. I don't know the details behind it, but I'll let you use your imagination. You don't stand up to the gay mafia, the black mafia, the Troon mafia, whatever. You know what I mean? Second of all, the Troons in particular are coming after the kids, the gays and the groomers.
Yep.
You get the kids when they're 3 to 8 years old or whatever, and they're done for life.
Yeah. If you can't get them in the womb, you get them in kindergarten.
Yeah, and that's what they're doing. This is an evil of such monumental proportions that bad things should be happening.
Yeah. If you see 4 horses coming down your street, it's too late.
Yeah.
I had just real quick, just the other day, my 13-year-old granddaughter was sitting next to me, and she was waiting for a password on her phone so she could watch YouTube on her phone. And once she got it working, she goes, "Oh, great! Now I can watch the drag show."
Are you kidding?
No, I'm like, what?
You mean the races? You mean a drag race?
No. She wants to watch the drag show. I'm thinking, well, I said something to her, and she dismissed me, and I'm not her father, but I haven't talked to her mother yet, and I will. But these parents got to open their friggin' eyes and see what's going on here. This is going down the wrong path. This is not going to end well.
No. And there's a litmus test, a basic litmus test, and might sound kind of funny, but if you took your 10-year-old or your 13-year-old boy down to the shaker bar and propped them up at the bar, if anybody doesn't know what a shaker bar is, it's an adult entertainment, a topless bar.
And I was wondering. Thanks for clearing it up.
Yeah, sometimes nude. I've been told.
Really?
Yeah.
They have such a thing.
Sometimes.
Yes,
Sometimes.
It's called a chicken house occasionally.
Go ahead and try bringing.
Dollhouse is another one.
You pay more to get in. I was told. you go bring your 10-year-old son in there, and with a wad of money, and let him make it rain. When and see what happens.
Yeah.
See how fast you don't go to jail.
Yeah. Right.
Maybe you won't. I mean, it's getting.
Oh no, you will. You will.
You will if it's cis, what they call normal gender. I don't know what cisgender is, but it's normal.
I thought cis was when
Ellen
a nickname for your sister.
Yeah, I thought that was my sister.
Yeah.
By the way, I just looked up a quick thing after you brought up the 4 horses.
Yeah.
And I'd like to just preach a little bit.
Go ahead.
And I heard a voice in the midst of the 4 beasts. And I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death. Now that's from Johnny Cash, but he took it from the Bible, obviously. And that's what's coming.
Yeah. There's also that movie with the Pale Rider with
yes, yeah.
Clint Eastwood there was also a reference in there.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough. And that death scenario is coming in a lot of different ways. The trans movement, we're going back down towards this because this is what we're really about tonight. Is it a fad? Is it something else? Are they coming for our kids? Is this is this a counterculture? Is this the end of a culture? And we know in previous historical events, this in fact was the end of a culture,
Yeah.
or two, or three, or four, because that's
And
what
there's a
happens.
lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons why, but this is the end of the United States empire. Whatever it's going to be after this, I don't know, but you won't recognize it as similar.
If this trend, if this fad, if whatever you want to call it, continues and it metastasizes, yeah, I would. I mean, I hate to say it, but I have to say, yeah, I agree with you on that.
Yeah, well, it doesn't even have to. It's not a single point of failure. I mean, we got economic stuff. We have cultural differences, which are, blended in with what we're talking about with the trans thing here. We have demographic differences. People from all the different kinds of countries. Nations don't survive that. That's in the old days. An army would invade, and you would have other nations. And they would interbreed with the conquered nation until it fell, and then you homogenize. The original conquerors would homogenize, and that would be you would have a culture again. But this is different. It's definitely different. And another point of fact is the trans takeover of all things women that we're seeing, and again, it's ironic that. Well, let me go down the list. The pet lovers, PETA, they're not in New Jersey bitching about the freaking windmills that are killing the dolphins and whales, right? Because they don't really care about them, honestly. All the women activists, all the phases of feminism, they're not coming out against the so-called trans, the guys that are playing women's sports because they really don't care about them,
right?
All the kid. All the people that are, the children activists, they really don't care because if they did, they wouldn't have freaking groomers in libraries. And I read there was a church that was having a drag hour Bible school.
I've seen clips from a couple of churches like that.
Yeah, they're looking. Well, they also.
What kind of churches are they?
Well, the churches of the devil is what they are.
Yeah.
I've seen some of these churches with rainbow flags out front. That's an abomination.
Right.
But and I'm not going to get into the scriptures of it, but that, this is, I mean, it's an abomination.
It is literal abomination.
Yeah. And to use the L word.
Yeah. And take it for that word brings all the weight that you think it does with it. An abomination to God, these things.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, that's not acceptable. And it's not me. It's not me saying that, but white liberal women are the worst apologists for this garbage, this perverted garbage that's going on.
Yeah.
That I've ever seen. And I don't know why. I think maybe, they're the same thing with the BLM and all these other idiots out there, kissing, kneeling down to trans women, all this crap. Because it makes them feel better about themselves. But I get it. I get it. They're empty souled people. They have there's a hole that they need to fill, and they can't quite, figure out how to do that. But
all these things are victim, have a victim mentality to them.
Yeah.
And maybe that appeals to women because women, they're the nurturers. They're the healers. They take care of people. That they fix the boo-boos, and maybe that's why if people claim to be oppressed or being hurt by somebody, maybe women are natural allies to them for that reason.
I mean, that's a good answer, but
it is a good answer, but I don't buy it.
I think it's agenda driven myself. But let's go a little bit deeper and a little darker with this clip. And I'll have a warning. I didn't edit this clip. It's not ours. It's a crazy whack job man dressed like a woman, violent, on Twitter. I believe this came from. I deliberately didn't edit out the word. So if you have any small kids that don't want to hear the F word a lot, I'll give you a couple seconds to,
Might want to scoot them out of the room and Let's see. It's dinner time. Get him an ice cream or something. That'll keep him busy.
Get him
Chocolate
chip.
You
no,
see,
no.
that's why
think
you
I'm
guys
kidding?
are going to make it, and I'm not, because I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not quick with the flavors. You know.
Hey, listen. If all three of us said that at the same time, that would have just sounded gay. So
Everything's fake and gay these days. You know.
obviously he's gay, and no denying that. But okay, here we go. Kids out of the room. Okay.
Trans people in Tennessee, it's time to fucking fight. Trans allies in Tennessee, it's time to fucking fight. Trans women, if they lock you up for identifying as a woman, fight, resist. You're gonna die anyways. We're going to die anyways. It's time to fucking resist. Fight them. Hurt them. If they put their hands on you, beat them. We are at an attack. It's time to fight back. Do you hear me? Trans people in Tennessee, trans men, trans women, non-binary, fight! If they try to arrest you or have you arrested on a felony for existing, beat them, team up, gang together, get people who agree with you to come and fight. Carry a weapon at all times. And yes, you have to attack the police officer.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. The nation's finest.
That is the high IQ plan of the week.
Yeah, this is NPR. It was last week. NPR, National Public Radio, which is paid for and sponsored primarily with federal dollars, which means you're paying for it, I'm paying for it.
Mm-hmm.
Strict anti-gun, anti-Second Amendment, probably anti-everything there is about America. Okay,
Until and unless
yes,
it's the Troons.
Last week, if you're a Troon, you need to arm yourself because now the Second Amendment's for you. And you know what this is based on? This is the really sick part. This is based on the fact that there's a so-called trans genocide. Honestly, they say, like I said before, there's less than 1% of the community or of the country.
And when's the last time you heard of a tranny being a Troon being murdered?
I was just thinking that.
Yeah, I can't even remember one, other than like one of these nightclubs where some Muslim shoots the place up or something. You know?
And when's the last time you heard of one getting arrested for being a trans?
Well,
no, that doesn't happen.
No, well, I mean, even in the movies and in TV, you see them get picked up because they were streetwalkers and they wind up being that way. And then they end up putting the fake woman in a man's jail. I've seen that on TV. But in the real world, what it's talking about is if you get convicted of a sex crime and you're obviously a man, well, you can just say in the middle of court, stand up and blurt it out. I now identify as a woman. And no kidding, in New Jersey they did this. They put the freaking guy in a women's prison. And of course, three women wound up pregnant in a women's prison. I don't know how that happened.
That's the one out on 78, Joe. You know that one?
Yeah.
Are you freaking kidding me?
Crazy.
But
the right of the Troons to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Well, I'll tell you what, if I'm going to prison, I'm going to claim I'm a woman too.
You'd be one ugly woman.
Maybe.
Dude.
But if I got to go to prison, that's where I'm going.
So control the language, control the culture. And if you haven't noticed the theme here, we started with we just want to get married. And the LGBTQ, whatever community is also a little bit pushing back on some of these militant freaks because they are. This is gender dysphoria. There's a medical problem here, and a mental illness problem is what we have.
Yeah, I think they removed it from the DSM, didn't they, or no?
No, I think it's in the.
Still there?
I think it's in the 5. Yeah, I believe it is. I don't know if they redefined it, but I mean I have access to that. I can double check.
Probably. By the way, homosexuality was in the DSM as a mental illness too, and it was removed due to political pressure in the 80s. Yeah.
And there's the whole age thing, and we have a breakdown here in the culture, and what's going to happen is, and there's somewhat of a way to predict this, but I mean it's loose, and we won't be around. But let's just pick a number and say 50 years. If this nonsense,
Yeah, that's why I hang with these guys. They are so unendingly optimistic.
I knew he was going to say that. So now you maybe lose my train of thought.
Well, if something bad's going to happen within 50 years.
50 years. You said
we're
50
not going to be here
years.
to see it.
Hey, what's going on here?
Okay, so I'm going down this path. If this continues, there's going to be, and I forget what the word is, but there isn't going to be a difference between a man or a woman. This is the whole. Let me take it back. This is what their idea is, and the problem is, amongst others, it demolishes females. But the ironic part is when you have a transaction, there is no such thing as reproduction. And this is a good time for you to talk about that piece from India. But there is no, you're not having babies anymore. You're going to have one big, giant, messy, freaking Caligula, and Sodom and Gomorrah all in the same group. And
then, well, I think there is an asteroid due to pass by in 40 or 50 years, so I may have to take back my original
I'm gonna
mockery
say, Paul,
of your timeline there.
You brought it up. So, did anybody find that prediction about Trump being indicted?
Oh no, I still haven't found it, and I still stick to it. They have to indict him. Whether it's this idiot in New York or one of the other guys, I still think they're going to do it.
Yeah,
you guys will still have plenty of time to mock me if it doesn't pan out. But
you opened the door to that one.
Yes, to get back to the Troons and transaction, I'm going to have to think about that one. That's got all that word has different meanings now.
Yeah.
But anyway. There was a article, and I don't know, I mailed it off to you, but I don't want to bring it up in case I crash my system here. From a doctor, and they took this to India because apparently the laws are a little lax.
They don't have any.
Yeah.
And this guy, this doctor, scientist, researcher, whatever, wants to implant a uterus into I don't know what you call it when it's a man, but they pretend they're a woman. Is that a trans man, trans woman?
I can't keep up. I can't. I call them pretenders.
The guy wants to plant a uterus into a transformer.
Into a man. He wants to put a uterus in a man.
And make it have a baby. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So it's still not a man having a baby.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what it is, but I'm sure God's going to punish us for it. whatever, you know.
Well, I hope you leave the us out, you know. God's going to surely punish someone, and
well,
remember, just don't look back.
Let me put it this way: Noah and like 8 dudes escaped. Everybody else got blasted. All right.
Well, don't forget that Noah was a conspiracy theorist until it started to rain.
That's right. Yes.
You know, that's that. Remember the sheep they cloned?
Yes. Yeah.
Remember that back in the day, and everybody was like, look. Let me tell you a little something. And this is something I'm trying to bring this to a close. When you have two forces, one evil and one good, and I don't care how you want to define it, but you have the Christian community, okay, which basically the essence of Christianity, we know Christ on the cross, the resurrection, which happens to be next week, the celebration. The essence of it is there is something greater than yourselves, and that thing greater than yourselves is God, which humbles the mankind, the creation, the whole bit. Yeah. The opposite of that breeds this kind of perversion is, and I'll use nihilism, I guess. It's the nihilist behavior that this is it. You are the God.
Yeah.
Each individual is the God. Therefore, they can change at will. So the two are irreconcilable. They will never. You could never coexist peacefully with those two opposites. It just can't happen. It's never going to happen.
And the problem is that the head of that religion was put in charge of this planet, being Lucifer.
Yeah. Well, yeah. That is the fallen angel.
But we're supposed to kind of like stand in the gap, us Christians.
Yeah.
Not a real good job we've done.
Well, some have and some haven't, but there, there's going to be. This is going to be an ironic statement, but there's going to be hell to pay.
Yeah.
So
literal.
Yes. Yeah. And like I was saying, I am optimistic because on the other side of that is something good, something light, something beautiful, something true.
Yeah.
But between here and there, mountains of bodies, piles of skulls, rivers of blood. So, and that reminds me, we're going to have a prepping guy one of these days come on here, hopefully before the lights go out, give you some basic ideas on how you can protect yourself a little bit, and be a little bit prepared for ugliness that's coming. So.
Sure. If you do carry, make sure you're diligent about it. If you're blessed to be in a state where you can, or a constitutional state, and keep your powder dry. Go to the range. If you can't go to the range, get a laser round, practice your skills. So you're keeping them in the zone.
And if you're not blessed to be in that state, do it anyway.
Yeah, or move. And quick announcement. Our next show Wednesday will be a special Easter release. We're going to take that week off and return the following week. So we will have a drop, and it'll be a lovely Easter story.
Everybody go to church.
Yeah. Sunrise, right?
Sunrise would be good. Yeah. A little too early for me, but
Yeah. Unless you're in Alaska, I don't know. I'd have to think about that. But... All right, guys. I didn't want to beat up too many people all at the same time, but I think I was being mild because this is a pet peeve of mine. This stuff just drives me mad. Because I will not be compelled, and I will not be bent or swayed. If you're a man, you're a man. If you're a woman, you're a woman. I don't care if you put a stocking on and some high heels and a wig. That's not it. And then if you're gonna do it, man up and cut it off. Or woman up, or whatever.
Very few. It's strange that very few wind up with what they call bottom surgery. Well, I guess.
I think
when they do, they normally end up committing suicide. So I mean, it's
that's very high prevalence. Yeah,
it's a
mental illness. That's why
in the letter community, the suicide rate is better than 50%, and it's really pathetic. I mean,
well, it is. And maybe we can even do a show addressing that whole aspect of it. And I didn't really want to get into this Tennessee thing too much. It's so sad, but I want to see the talk screen.
I want to see the manifesto.
Yeah. I don't want to see the freaking Caltech. That was called an assault weapon. Once again, we're being lied to. You know how it is. So anyway, and we beat that dead horse enough tonight. So guys, have a good night, everybody.
Good night from New Germany.
And keep your head on a swivel, folks.